3 years ago, and I've been working on it ever since. That's proven to be difficult and also, helpful in different ways. But I think I've been able to reconcile things through the first semester, and then I just had fun with it for the second semester. And this will be my final speech. As a disclaimer, my nose is going to explode at any minute now because of allergies, so please excuse me if something like that happens. All right, and without further ado, let's begin. According to my parents, the very first word I ever spoke was Baba, which is Persian for dad. Now, as you can imagine, my parents were elated upon hearing my first word. Little did they know, however, that years later it would be my words against theirs in your classic dinner table debate. Now, to make things clear, this isn't your typical teenage debate where mom and dad just don't understand. No. This is capitalism versus communism. This is human rights versus national security. This is Seahawks versus Patriots. But I wondered, how did I get to the point where I could use my words to debate intelligently about such important topics? Well, I was able to trace things back, all the way to a day in 6th grade. So now to imagine myself much shorter, and with a voice that frequently cracks. My teacher is speaking. Meanwhile, I was sitting at my desk thinking about Pokemon or soccer, something of that sort. And it was then that my teacher said these 3 profound words. Words are power. I looked at my teacher, and I thought to myself, words are power. That sounds important. And then I turned back to my desk and started thinking about sports and whatnot. Now, fast forward to 9th grade when I first discovered speech and debate. During those 3 years, I developed an understanding of how to manipulate language so as to weave ideas and emotions into it. I kind of had a thing for words, but it wasn't until joining speech and debate that I really started to speak up at the dinner table. You may be wondering why I didn't write the speech my freshman year. That's a good question. And the answer is, I wanted this to be my last speech for speech and debate. As a way to say thank you for all those dinner table classics. Because in the end, as humans, we tie ourselves to the world through the power of words. And the more we understand the power of words, the more we can begin to understand why sometimes they never go away, but instead live on, even after we're gone. So to acquire this understanding, we have to first look at what words are, how we use words, and how powerful words can be. Then finally, we're going to inspire ourselves to use the power of our words. Now, a word is a unit of language, consisting of one or more spoken sounds or the written representation. As a part of language, we are able to create, recognize, and understand these units in complex sequences to mean different things. You see, words are an extremely valuable form of communication that we use to convey thoughts, ideas, and emotions. And we express them in different ways. When we break up with our significant other and think it's the end of the world, some of us write poems and songs, like a certain Taylor Swift. When the country we root for wins the World Cup, we shout, we cheer, we storm social media. When we come up with new scientific discoveries, we write them down. So we use our words to express ourselves. Now, the examples I just gave you are our surrounding environments compelling us to express ourselves in words. And this is what's really amazing about words. This is the crux of what I'm talking about. Because likewise, we can use our words to compel our surroundings to change. Yeah, it's really simple. When you look at it, this is incredibly important, especially when you consider the power that our words have. For better or for worse, words have moved nations, united people, and altered the course of history. What I'm saying is that words are powerful. Say I suddenly turned and said, you. Sorry, I have to censor that. It was too strong. Words are powerful. As Mr. Keating states in the film Dead Poets Society, no matter what anyone tells you, words and ideas can change the world. Some examples. Charles Darwin wrote a fascinating book called On the Origin of Species, in which he introduced the idea of natural selection, which would revolutionize biology and our understanding of the living world forever. In 2011, Macklemore and Brian Lewis released a song called Wings, which expressed the danger of forgetting who we are if we become too concerned with being like someone else. Like Martin Luther King Jr. told us of his dream, as he and his compatriots held hands and chanted, "We shall overcome." A phrase which encapsulated the struggle for equality, something that we continue to strive for to this day. Without Dr. King's words, many of us might not be here today. Perhaps we would still have racially segregated forensics schools. But fortunately, we don't. And all of this was accomplished using words. Every thought, every idea, every emotion that has ever existed from communism and soccer to airplanes and happiness would never have had a profound effect without the power of words being used to spread them. You talk about words making an impact. You bet. Now, I want you to think about quotes for a moment. Why do we have quotes? Why do we remember when Mahatma Gandhi told us to be the change we wish to see in the world? Why do we remember when Dr. Seuss told us not to cry because it's over, but to smile because it happened? It's because they're messages which transcend time and impact the way we live life each and every day. Yet sometimes, you understand our words best in the absence of love. It was about a month before the end of my junior year. Came home, got on my computer to check Facebook. And that was when I found out. One of my good friends, a senior about to graduate, had passed away in a car accident only a few hours earlier. He was one of the kindest and smartest people I knew. Not to mention one of the best debaters I had ever met. For my first day as a member of the speech and debate community, he was always there. Someone who always knew something to help out. For family, classmates, and friends alike, we all wish we had a chance to say those three words. Those three words that hold us together so closely. I love you. Oh, how much those words mean to us. Satyaprit, bro, this one's for you. Now, I'm not here to tell you what you should or shouldn't do. I'm here to tell you what you can do. I agree with Leo Armstrong that we live in a wonderful world. But the more you look around, the more you realize that something is messed up. According to data compiled by the Miniature Earth Project, if we were to take the entire world's population and condense it down to a village consisting of just 100 people, with all the existing ratios the same, it would look something like this. There would be 35 people, representing 2.5 billion, lacking proper sanitation. 15 would be undernourished. 14 would be suffering from disabilities. Only 7 would have college degrees. And 20 people in that village would possess 75% of the entire world's wealth. The other 80 will be living on less than $10 a day. So we have all these issues going on in the world, and we have the power of words. Uncle Ben from the Spider-Man comics comes to mind when he says, with great power comes great responsibility. He's right. We have a responsibility not just to use our words, but to use them, hopefully for good. With that being said, my question is, how can we justify sitting around and doing nothing when we have the most powerful tools in the world at our hands? There's a reason why so many orators tell you to speak up. It's because it works. And I'm not saying we all have to go out and speak in front of thousands, but you can talk to people, you can tweet things, and dare I say, send an email. Don't just react. Cause reactions by sharing your thoughts, ideas, and emotions, so that together we can make this a more wonderful world. Here at Speech and Debate, we come together to celebrate the power of words because we understand that the more you use your words, the more powerful they become. This is important because no matter your profession, you need words to make an impact. The more you can use your words, the more you can make an impact. Why is that? Because the more you can use your words, the more likely people are to listen. And the more likely people are to listen, the more likely they are to get the message. Guys, the world needs us to communicate with each other and have discourse. Think of all the conflicts going on in the world that could be solved if only we chose to communicate and understand each other's viewpoints. Wage more of words instead of lives. Former Soviet Premier Nikita Khrushchev once said, "We may argue. The main thing is to argue without using weapons." In other words, debating. Debating helps us come up with solutions. It uses words to exchange thoughts and ideas. Our friends over in debate know that better than anyone else. They believe, like Darwin, like Macklemore, and like Dr. King, in the phrase, in verbis victoria, victory in words, that through the power of words, we can succeed. I'm asking you to believe in the same thing. So think about it. Think about what you can do with your words. You can tell the homeless person on the street that you believe in them. You can tell social media that you don't care what they say you should think or how you should look or who you should be. You can tell the world that despite how daunting and hopeless it may seem, there is a way to fight poverty, there is a way to uphold justice, and that there is a way to achieve peace. That the answer is in our hearts and our minds, and that all we need is to use our words. To quote Walt Whitman, "You are here, and life exists, an identity. That the powerful play goes on, and you may contribute a verse. That the powerful play goes on, and you may contribute a verse. What will your verse be? What will your verse be? What will you say? I don't know. That's for you to tell us. But before I finish, allow me to leave you with this final image. You are a burning star, and your words, rays of light emanating with a power beyond imagination in a darkening world that desperately needs them. You know what words are, you know how to use them, and you know how powerful they can be. So no matter where you go in life, no matter what you do, always, 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 remember to use the power of words. Word.